Plants scream. This lab recorded them, then it was erased. In the thick, humid heat of Manaus in 1983, a small group of botanists huddled beneath a canopy of towering rubber trees, their lab a makeshift tent of canvas and rusted metal tables. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, the constant drone of cicadas, and the faint, sweet perfume of tobacco leaves they were cultivating. The team, led by the soft-spoken yet fiercely curious Dr. Carlos Almeida, had set out to study how nicotine moved through the plant's vascular system. What they did not expect was that the leaves would speak back. They fitted each tobacco leaf with a tiny ultrasonic microphone and instrument no larger than a grain of rice, wired to a battered reel-to-reel recorder that hissed with each spin. When a blade of the plant was sliced cleanly with a sterile scalpel, the microphone captured a sound that no human ear could hear, a scream that rose far above the audible range, a thin, piercing chirp that seemed to echo the leaf's pain. It was not a rustle of fibers or a crack of cellulose. It was a distinct, purposeful pulse, as if the plant were sending an SOS in a language of frequencies. The first time they heard it, the lab fell silent. The cicadas paused, the wind seemed to hold its breath, and Dr. Almeida felt a shiver crawl up his spine. He replayed the tape, slowed it down, let the high-frequency wave stretch into a sigh that he could finally comprehend. The waveform on the oscilloscope formed a jagged spike, a signature that repeated every time the leaf was wounded. It was a pattern, a code, a clear indication that the plant was not merely reacting, but communicating. Over the next months, they repeated the experiment with dozens of leaves, each time cutting a different vein, each time hearing the same urgent ultrasonic pulse. They varied the stress drying the leaf, exposing it to heat, even playing a low frequency hum, and each stimulus produced a unique acoustic fingerprint. The data grew into stacks of magnetic tape, each reel labeled meticulously: leaf at cut 1, leaf be heat 3, control no stress 2. Dr. Almeida's notebook filled with sketches of waveforms, frantic notes of amplitude, and marginalia that read, "If plants can scream, what else can they say?" The excitement in the camp was palpable. The younger researchers whispered about the possibilities. Could crops warn farmers of pest attacks? Could forests signal impending droughts? Dr. Almeida imagined a future where forests could be monitored not just visually, but sonically, where a farmer could listen to his cornfield like a patient's heartbeat. He wrote a draft paper, polished the graphs, and prepared a presentation for an international conference. He felt the weight of discovery lifting the heavy veil of skepticism that had long shrouded plant physiology. But the world outside the tent was moving in a different direction. A multinational logging corporation, hungry for the rich hardwoods hidden beneath the rainforest floor, had negotiated a purchase of the entire tract of land that housed the research station. One morning, the funding agency's representative arrived with a terse letter. The grant was terminated, effective immediately. The researchers stared at the blank faces of their benefactors, feeling the ground shift beneath them. The corporation's legal team warned that any continuation of the study would be deemed a violation of the new land use agreement. Dr. Almeida tried to appeal to the municipal officials, pleading that the work was of global scientific importance, that the data could revolutionize agriculture and conservation. He was met with polite nods and empty promises. The city council, under pressure from the logging interests, offered no protection. The lab's power was flickering, the generators sputtering, and the scientists felt a cold dread settle into their bones. Then, in the summer of 1987, the distant rumble of military trucks rolled across the muddy road leading to the camp. Soldiers in olive-green fatigues, boots thudding like drums, surrounded the modest laboratory. Their commander, A stern man with a scar across his cheek announced that the project was now under national security jurisdiction. He ordered every reel of tape, every hard drive, every notebook to be seized. The soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, their hands brushing over the spines of the research books, their eyes scanning the room as if searching for hidden weapons. The air grew heavy with the metallic scent of gun oil and the oppressive silence that follows a coup. Team watched helplessly as their life's work was carted away in black crates. The lead researcher's heart hammered in his chest, each beat echoing the very frequency he had once recorded. He felt the familiar sting of betrayal, a personal wound that matched the plant's scream he had captured years before. As the last crate was sealed, Dr. Almeida slipped a single, unmarked tape into the inner pocket of his worn, leather satchel, a desperate, solitary backup of the most compelling recordings. That night, under a sky bruised with stars, he slipped past the checkpoint, his breath shallow, his mind racing. He thought of his family, of the rainforest he loved, of the possibility that the world would never hear the leaves' cries. He boarded a cargo boat bound for the coast, then a cramped flight to Europe, carrying only his satchel, a few photographs, and a burning resolve. In Sweden, the cold climate contrasted starkly with the humid jungle he had left behind. Dr. Almeida found a modest university laboratory, where he tried to share his data with skeptical colleagues. The scientific community, accustomed to rigorous proof, dismissed his claims as fantastical. Plants cannot scream, they said, citing the lack of a known physiological mechanism. He was labeled a crank, an eccentric, a dreamer, yet he persisted, presenting the raw tapes, the oscilloscope prints, the meticulous notes, hoping that someone would listen. Decades passed. The original reels, stored in a small, dust-filled box in his attic, gathered a thin layer of time. In 2021, a group of graduate students at a Swedish university, investigating plant stress responses, stumbled upon a reference to his 1,983 experiments in an obscure conference proceeding. Intrigued, they requested access to Dr. Almeida's archived tapes. When they played the recordings, the same high-frequency pulse resonated through their lab, startling the students and confirming the long-forgotten data. Their analysis, using modern spectral software, revealed that the ultrasonic emissions correlated with specific stress hormones in the plant, providing a mechanistic explanation that had been missing for decades. The university published a peer-reviewed paper, crediting Dr. Almeida posthumously, and the scientific world finally acknowledged that the leaves of tobacco, and by extension, many other plants, can indeed emit ultrasonic signals when injured or stressed. The revelation opened new avenues of research: bioacoustic monitoring, non-invasive crop health diagnostics, and even the ethical debate about listening to the silent cries of vegetation. The story of the Manaus lab remains a cautionary tale of how corporate greed and militarized suppression can almost silence a groundbreaking truth. Yet the echo of those ultrasonic screams survived, tucked away in a hidden tape, waiting for the day when curiosity and perseverance would bring it back into the light. The leaves may not speak in words we understand, but they do have a voice, a high-pitched warning that can be heard if we dare to listen. Search Manaus ultrasonic plants. The original paper resurfaced in 2021.